Yo, what's up? Welcome to another build guide. So this is the build that I have been playing for the last 2 weeks. I wanted to share my opinion, how I progressed with this build, and what this build is capable of. So you probably already have seen this build. I know that some popular streamers, YouTubers already shot a video. I'm not sure if they are the same version. I haven't watched any of those. So this is my version. I started with a low budget and worked my way up over the last 2 weeks. So this is the final version right now that you are watching on the screen. But in the Path of Building, there will be different gear sets with different budgets. So expect to spend more in the end, obviously. So the probably most expensive stuff is a Progenesis Flask and some good corruptions implicit on some items, maybe a better bow, Watcher's Eye, obviously, those kind of stuff. So first of all, you can do everything with this build. This is an all content build and just handles everything easily. It is ridiculous. So most of the times, if you want to play a all content build, you obviously want to spend a lot of currency, maybe to improve your defenses, DPS at the same time. Maybe you need some investment to start doing some stuff, you know. But with this build, you don't need anything. Just get the basic stuff. Get your weapon. You don't even have to craft a weapon. You can just start with a blue bow, by the way. It is that ridiculous. And you can just go and kill Uber, Maven, Shaper, those kind of easiest Uber bosses with ease. It is that stupid. You don't even need to invest that much to start the build. But again, if you want to min-max, it actually costs a bunch. So yeah, check that Path of Building if you are curious about the upgrades. So what is this build? A totem explode build. So first of all, this is a crucible modifier that can actually spawn in weapons. So I picked bow because that actually has a high tier version. So once your totems die, they actually explode, deal a lot of damage as physical damage. So this is the highest one you can get is a 600%. That is what you should actually search for. Just get a bow and start playing. You know, just level that bow maybe. And that is your weapon actually. So that mod actually single-handedly carries you. Again, you don't even have to craft your weapon to start playing the build. You just want to allocate that passive in the weapon and that's it. You can also maybe socket your totem to your body armor to start with, because that actually doesn't have to be in the weapon itself. You know, that is a global modifier actually. So the totem I picked is Devouring Totem. Some people also play with Rejuvenation Totem maybe. I'm not sure why. I went for Devouring Totem because it has a lot of HP. And also it consumes corpses and leeches life to you. So that is actually very good in maps, maybe juiced content, some hard content if there are lots of corpses, because you will actually heal a bunch. So that is actually super cool. So the synergy, so how to play this build. So you don't actually summon totems. We actually link totems to trap support. So we actually throw traps, then they actually spawn totems. If you just keep throwing traps, obviously we have a totem limit, which is 3, because we use multiple totem support. So after 3 totems, if you keep throwing more traps, obviously the first 3 are gonna get disappoint. So that actually counts them as, you know, dying. So actually they explode and deal that huge physical damage. So that is how the build works. We went for Pathfinder, achieved 100% poison chance, because physical damage can actually poison. Chaos damage can also poison. So we are actually gonna go for physical damage, chaos damage, damage over time multiplier, chaos damage over time multiplier, global damage, those kind of stats to boost the build, because the passive on the weapon, the crucial passive, actually gets scaled based on the totem's health pool. You also need a high level totem and maybe get some totem life notables on the talent tree, maybe use some rare jewels with totem life, those kind of stuff. So these are all the stats that actually boost this build. So in the end, you actually want to craft your weapon like a toxic rain bow, plus gems, damage over time multiplier, use hunter orb for cast damage over time, multi-mod, plus 2 level of socketed support gems, which we are gonna use obviously empower. You can just start with a level 3 empower. You don't even have to pay for a level 4 to start playing with the build. So a lot of gem level in the end. My gem is actually Devouring Totem, is 28 levels. You can even maybe use another amulet for even +1. Maybe Ashes of Stars, that is actually super good, but I haven't even tried that because that is also very expensive. So yeah, in the end your bow will provide a lot of damage over time and a lot of gem level. So you want to boost that gem level for more DPS. So yeah, that is how the build actually gets scaled. So the poison DPS limit is 36 million something, I guess. That is how they actually limit poison builds in this game. You cannot achieve more DPS. I'm not sure if I can achieve 36 million. I have no idea. Path of Building still doesn't fully support this passive actually. After the recent patch a couple of days ago, they actually added something. I can see some numbers on the Path of Building, but I'm not sure if I can actually stack all the poisons up to 36 million. But the DPS is respectable. You can easily kill an Uber Shaper while he is channeling that laser. Or Uber Zeros, as soon as he comes down, you know, he cannot even teleport most of the time. Sometimes he just teleports and does one ability, then he is dead. So the DPS is that high. So let's just talk about the build's defenses. This build is also super tanky. That is the ridiculous part. So it has high DPS, also an almost unkillable character in the end. So first of all, lightning coil body armor. I just wanted to be tanky against physical damage. So that's why I picked this. In the end, you also want some good corruptions on the implicit, maybe +1 resist, some damage taken reductions, maybe plus aura gems, so you can actually put some auras in this, those kind of stuff. I didn't want to go for much armor. First of all, I started the build with determination, aura, but later on I actually skipped that because I actually went for 100%, at least 90%, let's say, conversion. So you actually can skip armor completely. So this body armor provides 50%. You can put some implicits and also a prefix on the bench on your helmet. Physical damage taken as cold, lightning, or maybe fire on the implicit. Then the craft is from the bench. It is actually physical damage taken as fire damage. I use Purity of Lightning and Purity of Ice right now, two purities at the same time. But again, if you just started this build, you should probably play with a determination plus a purity, because you also need maybe armor if you don't have much conversion. But once you get some purities, you can also get some Watcher's Eye with physical damage taken as something, depending on the purity of your choice. So more conversion actually. Plus a Taste of Fate Flask, which is like 2 divines, 3 divines, the good rolls. So this also has 15%. With the Flask effects from the talent tree we got, this goes up to like 20% conversion. So in the end, at least 90% conversion once you achieve that gear. So you can actually skip worrying about, stop worrying about armor at all. You don't even need armor. That way you can actually mitigate physical damage from elements. You will also have some maximum resistances on the talent tree and your items. So that will actually be some huge mitigation against physical damage. So this way, this is actually way better compared to armor alone, because armor alone is actually a trash stat. It doesn't do anything at all. So maybe you'll say, I have like a 50k armor on my other character, blah blah blah. No, that is nothing. So this conversion is actually way more powerful. You can easily tank most one-shot abilities, maybe everything, I don't know. So Uber Shaper Slam, that is a guaranteed one-shot to a pure armor character. You cannot even tank it with only armor. It doesn't happen. So yeah, this way you can just tank it in the middle. That is the highest damage dealing part, I believe. It doesn't even hit anything once you have all the gear, all the conversion. You don't even need a Progenesis Flask to tank it, by the way. It is that stupid, that conversion mechanic. Maybe if you also played my Fire Reap Chieftain a couple of leagues ago, that also had some high conversion. That build also tanks those kind of stupid physical abilities. So in the end, physical damage taken converted to something. Try to accomplish those to stop worrying about armor and physical damage mitigation. Next, again, we have purities for more resistances, plus items implicit, Searing Exarch. Use those currencies to put some +1 on each of your items, helmet, gloves, and boots. Helmet has lightning resist, gloves have cold resist, and boots have fire resistance. The most important ones, in my opinion, are lightning, because we also have lightning coil, body armor, and also cold, maximum cold resist. You can maybe skip +1 fire res, +2 fire res, whatever on your boots, and maybe put some movement speed or action speed for faster gameplay. because most endgame bosses doesn't have fire abilities actually, but most bosses actually have cold abilities, so you may want to be super tanky against cold damage if you want to survive that Uber Shepherd's Bullet Hell phase, Maven's Cascade of Pain easily. You can just face tank all of those AFK in the end once you min-max the build, because all of those are actually cold based abilities. Other than that, Endless Flasks, this is a fake blood build, meaning that you don't even need a mage blood. Because Pathfinder actually has some huge flask recovery, plus we got a lot of stuff on the talent tree. So once you are building your character, if you are not sure about a flask, if that is suitable for your build, if you can actually sustain it 100% of the time, maybe you are just searching for a flask on the market, found some good Quicksilver flask, let's say, just copy paste it in your path of building. Once you hover your mouse over the Quicksilver flask or whatever flask it is in the path of building, it actually says on the bottom line, I guess, flask uptime something. If it says 100%, that means that that flask will work all the time. You cannot lose charges. Alright, you cannot stop sustaining it. So if you see at least like 95% sustain flask uptime, or obviously go for 100%, that means that that flask is ready to go. Just buy that flask and start using that. So the flask choices we have: Quicksilver for movement speed, Opal Flask for more lightning mitigation, also meaning physical mitigation because we have lightning conversion. Physical damage taken as lightning, a lot of that. Most of it comes again from lightning coil body armor. Haste of 8 or a Sapphire Flask to start with at a lower budget to be tankier against cold damage. Again, cold damage is probably the most important damage type in the game right now, because again, most Uber bosses have cold damage abilities. So Sapphire Flask or Taste of Fate, again, let's say. What else? A Life Flask. So you can start with a Divine Life Flask because it actually has a longer duration. It is actually easier to sustain it. But once you have some good charge gain from your maybe medium cluster jewels, from the talent tree, once you level your character, also don't be shy and maybe get some boost from 5-way boosters. It is a very good way to level your characters. I always go for that. Try to achieve maybe at least 95 levels to finish the talent tree, let's say. Right now my character is 98 levels. I don't need more, but you can also go for also 100 if you want to also complete some challenges. I'm also close to 38 challenges. This build is so good for everything. This is your go-to build for this league. You can do anything with this build. So long story short, yeah, once you have maybe good charges, again, you can actually use an Eternal Life Flask. So what is the difference? Let's just explain that. So Divine Flask actually heals a little bit more on the paper, but it actually heals over like 5 seconds or something. But Eternal Life Flask actually heals over 2 seconds. If you divide the amount to 2 seconds or maybe 5 seconds, you will actually get maybe your healing per second, you know, if you are following what I'm saying. So in the end, Eternal Life Flask actually heals more every second. So right now, I believe my healing per second is like 8,000 something. It is ridiculous because I have a lot of flask effect. My Eternal Flask alone heals like 7k, I guess. The rest comes from my life regeneration from items and vitality aura gem. Yeah, that's pretty much it. If you can sustain Eternal Life Flask, then go for that because that is actually more healing per second. Also, in the end, if you also go for low life by using Petrified Blood Aura, I actually don't recommend you to start with that on a low budget because low life builds actually needs more defense to survive. But yeah, in the end, if you also have Petrified Blood, a Progenesis Flask, you can also use a Life Flask with a low life modifier on it. So more recovery if used while on low life. That actually works all the times. Once you have that low life achieved with Petrified Blood, and maybe reserve some auras. That is my Herald of Agony, I guess. Just check my battle building. With Arrogant support in the end, so you will actually be on low life all the time. So you can actually benefit from that Flask's low life, more recovery all the time. That is how to achieve that thousands of healing per second in the end. So yeah. Final Flask choice is a Progenesis once you have the budget, because that is also another Petrified Blood, something like that. When hit during effect, some life loss from damage taken occurs over 4 seconds instead. So this actually prevents one-shots and also more mitigation because we can actually easily heal that amount. That's pretty much it. If you don't have the budget for Progenesis, you can use a Sulfur Flask if you think you are missing some DPS maybe. That also spawns a Consecrated Ground on the ground, obviously. So that means more healing on it because it actually provides regeneration. Or maybe use a Granite Flask if you don't have fully conversion yet, if you are going for armor at a lower budget. That's actually how I started playing with, yeah, a Granite Flask. You can use maybe a Jade Flask, maybe a Ruby Flask if you also want to be tankier against fire damage. But again, fire damage is, in my opinion, is the least concerned, damage type, yeah. And it is all about the flasks. We explained the defenses of the build. Actually, no, we still have a lot of more stuff to explain. So let's just explain this. Ancestral Vision Jewel. This is a new jewel. It is like 80 chaos. No idea why it is so cheap. I haven't even seen it drop once. I'm not sure because the jewel drops are, as you know, are quite rare. But yeah, this is a super cheap jewel. And this is how to achieve 100% elemental avoid ailments. Avoid elemental ailments. The rest comes from my boot. So once you have 100% spell suppression, which is obviously good, we will easily do that on this build. So more mitigation against spells. Like 50% of that are gonna get also to apply to avoid elemental ailments. So we only need like maybe 50%. So the life notes on the ranger side, thick skin, actually provides 20%, which makes 70% total with the jewel. So you will need like 30% more. So just get a boot with an open suffix, craft chance to evade elemental ailments, and then use eldritch currencies. The blue one, Ether, actually also crafts another elemental avoidance on the implicit, and bam, you will be ailment immune. So this is huge for defense. Next, we are stun immune. Remember that we are using a couple of magic flasks. Make sure you get a stun avoidance on one of them, one of their suffixes. It doesn't matter which one you put. It can be a topaz flask or quicksilver or a sapphire if you still don't have taste of hate. You get the idea. Put a high chance avoid stunt with the flask effects. Yeah, that's actually gonna be even more. So once you have some good here actually on that flask, we also have some stun avoidance on the talent tree, by the way. Bam, 100% stun avoidance, which will make you unstoppable. Am I missing any defenses about the build? Crit immune. So there's actually a poison mastery that says enemies poisoned by you cannot deal crit strikes. So once you attack the boss, bam, it can no longer deal crit damage. So this is very good on imitations and simulacrum. So this actually prevents Kosis, Omniphobia, those Delirium bosses or any imitation boss or whatever. If you roll them with crit modifiers, they actually prevent them dealing crit damage to you. Huge mitigation. What else? I guess that's it. I'm not sure. So the build in the end, let's just wrap it up. Almost, not say immune, but huge mitigation against physical because of the conversions. 100% spell suppression. Some max resist on talent tree and items. Stun immune. Elemental ailment immune. Crit immune. You can easily also achieve cap chaos resist, which most builds cannot do. So you will also be very tanky against chaos damage. Huge recovery, at least 7k, 8k once you finish the gear, like I did on low life. Use that low life stuff, whatever. Thousands of healing per second, which will just make you not concerned about anything at all in the end. Stupid build. Play this, guys. Let's just also explain a couple of more items maybe. So amulet choice, maybe you can obviously start with a rare amulet. Unique amulet is also cheap, by the way, but yeah, Impresence versus rare amulet, maybe, let's say. So if you use Impresence, if you are lazy, if you don't want to press more buttons, this actually makes your Despair Curse, which is the curse that actually lowers chaos resist. This is a chaos poison build, obviously. So that means that having Despair, having lower chaos resist on enemies actually means more DPS. So you can actually use a Blasphemy support on your Despair and make it an Aura instead. But this way it will actually lose some effect, so expect lower DPS maybe. But you will also get Meddling Presence on maps, which actually boosts something. I'm just gonna put it on the screen because I actually forgot what that does. So this is actually good, if you want to press less buttons. But you can also play with a rare amulet. put bunch of strength, damage over time, maybe +1 jumps, resist, life, whatever your character needs. But you actually need to cast Despair manually, but this way that you will actually have more DPS. That's it about the Amulet, I guess. So rings, maybe. Minx Heart, a lot of physical damage is extra chaos damage, but this actually lowers our HP, so expect lower HP because of this. If you think your DPS is fine, maybe you can skip this. I haven't actually tried the build without this because this provides so much. A lot of physical damage is extra chaos damage, which is huge actually for this build, plus lots of chaos resist. With Progenesis, bam, insta-capped. I don't even got any more chaos resist from anywhere at all. 2 items, you are capped at chaos resist. That is that easy. On your items, you most want to put spell suppression if you still need. Life, cap your resists. Try to put lots of regeneration and life regeneration rate to have more healing actually. Plus resistances on the implicits. What else? I don't know, probably that's it. Maybe some chaos damage over time if you can put those. They can actually happen on rings, amulets, those kind of stuff. And finally, yes, let's just talk about the belt. So this is an uber serious belt, Burden of Truth. This is how I play because it actually has Supreme Descendants. I don't know how to pronounce it. Yeah, probably Descendants. What the fuck? I don't know. So yeah. What does this do? So that is actually a keystone, a hidden keystone that actually lets you recover Energy Shield with Life Flask. Because we have our Life Flask up all the time because this is a Pathfinder build, newly reworked Pathfinder, which has Master Surgeon. Life Flask effects are not removed when unreserved life is filled. That means that you will actually have that Life Flask up all the time, but you actually have to press that every couple of seconds because you cannot actually automate the process, unfortunately. So the only button, the flask you need to press is your Life Flask. So this will actually also heals your Energy Shield, recovers your Energy Shield, thanks to Supreme, whatever that is. We also have Eldritch Battery on the Talent tree, which means that you will actually spend Energy Shield instead of mana. Because the belt also provides a lot of Energy Shield plus life as extra Energy Shield, make sure you get a good rolled one. Also life recovery from flasks, which is the #1 stat for this build. So this is the best in slot belt for this build. Just provides you a lot of healing plus infinite mana. Because you will actually have infinite Energy Shield, so you can actually use mana, the Inner Shield, instead of mana thanks to Eldritch Battery. Use your skills. Plus, we can also easily use a Divine Blessing setup. That is our Malevolence Aura for more DPS. Because it is also gonna get consumed from Energy Shield. Simple free aura with Divine Blessing. I guess that's it. I'm not sure if there's anything else to explain. Play this build. Share this video maybe if you just seen this build. Spread the word, guys. This is the build. I'm probably gonna keep playing this build. I just boost people, uber bosses, trying to finish my challenges. I'm just enjoying the build because it can do everything. This is probably gonna get nerfed or maybe get removed entirely on the next patch. Maybe they won't even put Crucible on the core game. So yeah, this is the time to play this build. This is one of the most broken builds I have played in like 7 or 8 years. Over my entire POE career, let's say. So yeah, this is stupid. I will see you later. Bye bye.